First and foremost, we will go through introduction of nuclear physics. In this subchapter, we will learn about figures that pioneered the nuclear physics, electromagnetic radiation, ionizing and non-ionizing radiation. Nuclear physics is a branch of physics that studies atomic nuclei, their component and interaction, as well as other types of nuclear matter. Nuclear physics are crucial to our daily life because they help us detect smoke in our house, test and treat cancer, and keep an eye for cargo. Up next, we will have a nuclear physics figure, which is Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen, who is a German physicist and engineer. He discovered X-ray in 8 November 1895. For this work, he achieved Nobel Prize in 1901. IUPAC designed element 111 as Röntgenium after Röntgen. He also created Röntgen unit of measurement. French physicist Pierre Curie was significant contribution to the field of radiation, magnetism, piezoelectricity, and crystallography. Together with his wife, Marie Curie and Henri Becquerel, he shared the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics. Next, we have a French physicist and engineer, Antoine Henri Becquerel, as the first person to find the proof of radioactivity. He shared the 1903 Nobel Prize in Physics with Marie Skłodowska-Curie and Pierre Curie for their contribution for this discipline. He is honored by having the Becquerel BQ as the name of radioactive SI unit. After that, Marie Salomea Skłodowska-Curie is a Polish-French physicist. She was a pioneer of the field of physics and chemistry who studied radioactivity. She and her husband is the first married pair to receive Nobel Prize. Now we go through the electromagnetic radiation. Electromagnetic radiation can be defined as the flow of energy at the universal speed of light through a free space or through a material medium in the form of electric and magnetic field. Electromagnetic waves such as radio wave, visible light, and gamma rays as shown in the slide. Next, ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is a type of energy emitted by atoms that travel as electromagnetic wave or particles. Ionizing radiation is classified into 5 types, which is alpha particles, beta particles, positrons, gamma rays, and X-rays. Ionizing radiation sources include radioactive materials and radiation generating machines. Now we will go to non-ionizing radiation. Non-ionizing radiation is made up of electric and magnetic fields that lack the energy to remove electrons from atoms or molecules. Types of non-ionizing radiation are ultraviolet, visible light, infrared, microwave, radio, and extremely low frequency. Non-ionizing radiation is produced by a wide variety of products in the workplace and in home, from laser to power lines, household appliances, cellular phones, and radio.
Now we will talk about the properties of ionizing radiation. Ionizing radiation is a form of energy that acts by removing electrons from atoms and molecules of material. Ionizing radiation can travel unseen and pass through this material. It is commonly associated with X-ray, which may enter our bodies and expose the bones. We say that X-ray is ionizing because they have the unique ability to remove electrons from the atom and change molecule within our body cells. The first one is alpha particle, which is a composite particle that made up from 2 protons and 2 neutrons. It is released from the nucleus of certain radionucleus during a radioactive decay, which is alpha decay. Alpha have a strong positive charge. The mass is 4 times mass of a proton. It is same as helium nucleus. It also has a low penetration as it can be stopped by paper and skin. The next one is beta particle. It have a high energy and fast electron or positron. It is released from the nucleus by some radionucleus during a radioactive decay known as beta decay. Beta particles are electron. It is named beta particle since they come from the atom nucleus. It is also strong at ionizing and penetrate more than alpha particle. Neutron. Neutron radiation is made up of free neutrons that are often released because of spontaneous or induced nuclear fission. Neutrons are neutral particles. It cannot directly cause an ionization, but it is highly penetrated. A gamma ray is an electromagnetic energy that is generated by the nucleus of certain radionuclide during radioactive decay. The highest energetic photon in the electromagnetic spectrum are gamma photons. It is very poor at ionizing, but very penetrating. It is less harmful to life since they are poor at ionizing. The last one is X-ray. An X-ray is a packet of electromagnetic energy emitted by an atom's electron cloud. An X-ray is highly penetrated. It has no mass since it was an electromagnetic wave, but it has an energy. X-ray is very poor at ionizing, like an gamma ray. This is the figure of penetrating power of ionizing radiation.
So now, radiation detector. What is radiation detector actually? It was instrument to measure the ionizing radiation exposure. Why we need to measure the ionizing radiation exposure? Because human skin cannot detect the ionizing radiation, and also the radiation is bad for human health. It could produce cancer, other type of disease. We also can get poisoned by the radiation. There is radiation. There also a type of radiation that we could detect, which are alpha, beta, and gamma. We have type of radiation. Next we have type of detector, which are portable radiation monitor, area radiation monitor, and personal dosimeter. All methods to detect are depending on the ability of radiation to cause ionization directly or indirectly. The commonly used detector are scintillation counter, solid state counter, and Geiger-Müller counter. Geiger-Müller is the famous one. The difference between the detectors are type of gas, pressure required to maintain the gas within the ionization chamber, voltage used on the instrument. So we go to the next, portable radiation monitor. It was a handheld device. The commonly used is Geiger-Müller. They always used at the nuclear facilities or work site to measure radiation levels, mostly on the work site because it was a portable radiation monitor. It also need to calibrate intervals within months in radiation calibration facility. The example of this is the famous one we take is Geiger-Müller counter, invented by two figures in physics, which are Hans Geiger and Walter Müller. It was filled with inert gas such as neon, argon, or helium. It could detect all types of radiation, however, could not distinguish between the radiation type. The next is scintillation counter. It used to detect gamma rays. Also able to measure the state of radiation element, whether it's solid, liquid, or gases. It also able to measure how much energy that has been ionized by the radiation. Next we go to the solid state counter. It's used semiconductor as a material to detecting as a medium detector for radiation. The type of material used to determine the number of bad charge. It also receives attention due to their high energy and intrinsic spatial resolution, which are it could detect high energy that's so clear. So next we go to area radiation monitor. It commonly used in nuclear facilities such as nuclear mine, nuclear reactor, and particle accelerator. So in radiation facility, nuclear facility or field must be divided into three categories, which are clean area, supervised area, and control area. The different areas require different instruments because of the needs of different level within the areas. For example, control and supervised area may be higher, maybe they have higher level of radiation than the clean area. There is a few types of area radiation monitor, such as noble gas monitor. Noble gas were used to monitor, quantify, and alert for beta radiation in nuclear facilities. So the next one is iodine monitor. In this monitor, it use iodine 131 because it can vapor, so it can travel airborne easily and cover the whole nuclear facilities. So it's easier to use, and it mostly used to detect gamma rays. So the next one is, last but not least, gamma and neutron radiation monitor. It was full range monitors. It has various types of detectors, including silicon diode and Geiger molecule. It also can cover a wide variety of detecting, including area and personal monitoring protection, which it can detect all types of radiation, including alpha, beta, and gamma. That's all.
Let's continue with the next slide. Personal dosimeter. It used to determine how much radiation is received, and usually it used by radiation worker at their place. It can be found in thermoluminescent dosimeter, quartz fiber electroscope dosimeter, and the beeper. Thermoluminescent dosimeter (TLD) is a passive radiation detection device that is used for personal dose monitoring. The TLD keeps counting a record of how much radiation the worker was exposed to during this time. Depending on the type of employment, a baseline device 1 for 1 or 2 months on the body. A quartz fiber dosimeter QFE or SIPD or SRPD is a type of radiation dosimeter, a pen-like device that measures the cumulative dose of ionizing radiation received by the device, usually over one work period. It is very useful for individuals who need to enter a radiation area to do a particular job. The beeper. The beeper is a small alarming personal radiation detector that warn on a person and provide a visual, audio, or vibration alarm warning about the presence of elevated radiation. They produce an audible beep warning sound at a rate dependent on the radiation level. Measurement for internal contamination can be done on body excretion, also be made directly on the body using a whole body counter and thyroid monitor. Example measured on body excretion such as using urine. It will calculate to determine the total intake. A whole body counter is a device used to identify and measure the radioactive material in the body of human beings, while some of function using thyroid monitor is to measure the TSH level in blood sample.
The effect of ionizing radiation is referred as effective dose and measured in a unit called CV. However, 1 CV is a large quantity. Radiation dose normally encountered are expressed in millisieverts or microsieverts. It is often useful to express the rate at which the dose is delivered, such as microsievert per hour or millisievert per year, as the risk of exposure to radiation can also be substantially lower if the radiation dose is low or delivered over a long period of time. The general public near the affected area and the workers of the affected facility, like workers of nuclear power plant, are at a greater risk of being exposed to dose of radiation high enough that can cause them acute effects. That's why there is a specific dose limit that workers and public require to follow, and this was specified in Radiation Protection Regulation 2000 and International Commission on Radiological Protection (ICRP). As you can see on the screen, this is the table of the recommendation of ICRP. However, in ICR Publication 103, paragraph 243, they say that the dose limit apply only in a plain exposure situation, but not to medical exposure of patients. And ICR also states in paragraph 247 and 248, there is a situation where the normal dose restriction require not to be strict. Example for that is for those who engage in volunteer life-saving actions or individuals of the general public involved in caring and comforting patients. It's also very important to apply ALARA principle, which stand as low as reasonably achievable. For your information, when there is a case like Chernobyl disaster, there are several radiation accidents that should be considered, which are: first, unexpected uncontrollable high level of ionizing radiation that can occur near the location of the accident. Second, there might be some individual that enters a high level radiation field by accident. Third, there might be a situation where a loss of control of unsealed radioactive material can happen. And also, we need to consider that all the things, including the skin of human, can be contaminated. And the last one, the environment might be contaminated, exceeding the discharge level permitted by the regulation. So, when there is accident that happen involving the radiation, there are several steps of emergency procedure that need to be followed, which are: first, evacuation plan. We need to evacuate people far away from the affected area. Second step, block and warning. After the evacuation, the affected area, especially location near radiation level, which exceed 25 microsievert per hour, have to be blocked, and the warning site must be spaced in order to prevent others from entering this dangerous area. Third step, immediate action. take all necessary action to prevent or to reduce the hazard. For example, during the Chernobyl disaster, the fire department have to get the main fire under control by watering it as a prevention from the radiation carried by the wind to the many parts of Europe, not only in Ukraine. For the next step is temporary shielding. It uses to monitor and decontaminate the affected area. Next, removal process. Any contamination that exceeds permitted limit, either from skin or clothing, have to be removed. After that, a release process. If the contamination does not exceed the permit contamination, it can be released. Otherwise, it cannot be taken out of the affected area. Last but not least, medical observation and treatment. For all the affected individuals like the workers, rescuer, and the public, especially those who near the affected area, must get a proper treatment and always under the inspection of medical officer or doctor.
Next, we go to the application of nuclear physics. There are two types of application nuclear physics, which are in medicals and in daily life. For medicals, nuclear physics used in tracer and radiography, and for daily life, nuclear physics used in smoke detector. Firstly, we go to the tracer. Tracer used in single photon emission computed tomography or SPEC and positron emission tomography or PET scans. Tomographic pictures in 3 dimensions of the distribution of radioactive tracer molecules that have been injected into the patient's body are produced by SPEC imaging equipment. Many projection photographs of the body taken at various angles are combined to create 3D image. The gamma ray emission from the tracers that have been injected into the patient can be found using gamma camera detector, which are present in SPEC image. Radiopharmaceuticals are also employed in PET scans to provide 3-dimensional pictures as the radiotracer decay, positrons, and tiny particles are produced. A positron is an oppositely charged particle with a mass similar to an electron. When they react with the body electrons, the two particles unite and destroy one another. This annihilation creates a tiny quantity of energy in the form of 2 photons that go in opposite direction. The detectors measure these photons in the PET scanner, which then uses the data to produce pictures of the anterior organs. Additionally, beta and gamma radiation can be employed as tracer for alternative surgeries on the body. An expert radiographer uses specialized equipment to track the movement of small quantity of radioactive material through the body. Because they leave the body and may detected, beta and gamma sources are employed. Anything thicker than a sheet of paper cannot withstand the radiation of alpha. Next, we go to the radiography. Radiography is high energy particles or wave such as gamma rays, X-rays, electron beams, protons are used in radiography treatment to kill or damage cancer cells. Normally, your cells grow and divide to create new ones, but compared to most normal cells, cancer cells grow and divide more quickly. As it functions, minor nicks in DNA of cells are created by radiation. These fractures stop the growth and divisions of cancer cells and ultimately lead to their demise. Radiation can also damage nearby normal cells, although most of them recover and resume their regular functions. Other than that, radiography can be used to destroy other tissue in the body which is not helpful in our body. Lastly, we go to the smoke detector. The product that employs nuclear technology most frequently is a smoke detector. They position a source of alpha radiation, which is americium-241, close to an ion detector. The alpha particles do ionize the air molecules. In other words, they take an electron out of the molecules and split it from the rest, leaving the two halves with an electric charge. When there is enough smoke in the air, the detector can detect the electric charge, which lowers and causes a sound to be produced. Americium-241 has half-life of 458 years. Hence, this design enables smoke detectors to function for an extended period. Thank you.